Good evening and warm welcome to Eswatini TV News at 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lindoguhle Masugu, and signing with me tonight is Zamanzi Manze. Here are the news making headlines tonight. The Prime Minister has implored African and Arab countries to strike a balance between environmental integrity and the level of development. The Deputy Prime Minister has encouraged the Eswatini to register to vote and have a say in the governance of the country. And the Minister of Labour and Social Security says the employment bill will not affect companies that are engaged as contractors, but it seeks to deal with labour brokers, among other issues. Well, let's get straight into the news in detail. The Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, has implored African and Arab countries to strike a balance between environmental integrity and the level of development. The Prime Minister has been speaking during the official opening of the 10th ASECA retreat meeting on Thursday.
As per his Majesty the Ingonyama endorsement of having the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini host the 10th retreat of the Association of Senates, Shura and equivalent councils of Africa and the Arab world ASECA, the meeting has since kicked off. The meeting is held under two thematic areas, which is the impact of the international crisis on the economies of Africa and the Arab world, and the significance of green economy in achieving sustainable development in Africa and the Arab world. The meeting was officially opened by the Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini.
It will be important to strike a balance between environmental integrity and development. Greening our economies and building climate resilience is long overdue. However, we have also recorded some positives with the COVID-19 pandemic getting behind us. We are also positive that the Russian-Ukraine war will come to an end. However, the climate change challenge presents itself as long-term.
Senate President Lindiwe Dlamini says Parliament can help solve challenges faced by these countries.
Our nations face challenges such as the youth bulge, high unemployment, exposure to global economic shocks, and severe climate change. However, on the converse, we have potential answers. Our two regions are well endowed with human and natural resources.
ASECA Secretary General Abdulaziz Yusuf Ali says discussions from this meeting will help shape the future of these countries.
If we are sincere with the objectives of our founders and are willing to stand together to achieve them, this forum shall give us a foresight on how to go about it.
UN Resident Coordinator George Wachira encouraged senators to align national policies with global transformation.
As leaders, as people who have the responsibility to make policies and push agendas, is to remember our developing countries, particularly Africa, bear the largest impact of the climate change.
The Prime Minister also invited the ASECA delegates to make time to inquire about the lucrative business and investment opportunities in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Esulwini.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini has received a courtesy call from Speaker of the House of Councils of the Kingdom of Morocco, Inam Maraya. Discussed were matters of mutual interest between the two kingdoms.
Apart from the ongoing 10th retreat of the Association of Senates, Shura and equivalent councils of Africa and the Arab world ASECA, Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini has received a courtesy call from the Speaker of the House of Councils of the Kingdom of Morocco, Inam Maraya, who's also the chairperson of ASECA. The Prime Minister said these two countries can forge other areas of cooperation, especially because they have a lot of similarities.
The relations are very good. We also discussed possibility of business, of course. In particular, Morocco produces fertilizer. So he said if we could set up a plant here, even to mix, maybe initially export, but if you can come here and put up the plant, so that can develop the relationship. I think the future is very good between the two countries.
سنعمل استثمارات يجب أن نعملها لدى البلدان الشقيقة أولاً.
Discussed on the meeting were matters of mutual interest between the two kingdoms, including scholarships for Eswatini students in Morocco and possible collaboration in health matters, as well as possible partnership on fertilizer manufacturing to address fertilizer shortages in the Kingdom of Eswatini and the African region. The 10th ASECA retreat was attended by 20 Arab and African countries. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini Esulini.
The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku has encouraged the Maswati to register to vote and have a say in the governance of the country. Masuku registered to vote under the Metula constituency on Thursday.
As the Elections and Boundaries Commission has announced the registration dates, the Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku has registered to vote. The Deputy Prime Minister was in company of his wife Dimpho Masuku, who also registered to vote. The Deputy Prime Minister encourages the Maswati to register as it is within the Constitution to do so.
Sekhutsata nebantfu labakhona la ngoba lokutsatsa lukhetho lutsatse bulelesi kwenta kutsi ubede livi kuloku losekwentiwa ngoba sibuke labanye ukhanze sebashuka bafuna emabloho bafuna ini abakayokhetha so kufuneka lokuthi bantu kuze batoba.
Masuku says if people register to vote, they will have a say on issues of the country's governance. Masuku says people must vote for people who are aware of challenges in their communities and constituencies and people who will bring change in their communities. People were also present and registered to vote as well. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Smuva Shongwe, Kumetula in the Shiselweni region.
The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Philip Teleze, says the employment bill will not affect companies that are engaged as contractors, but it seeks to deal with labour brokers among other issues. On another issue, Montego Investment has come out to claim that there is no longer a labour broker that is engaged by the company. The company was known to have engaged Kundane and Sons labour brokers.
On Thursday, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Philip Teleze, visited Montego Investments in Bunya, where, among other things, hopes to ensure that labour laws are being followed. Montego Investments Chief Executive Officer, Andrew Leroux, raised his concerns over the employment bill, saying it will destroy companies engaged as subcontractors. He said it being several years since the company engaged a labour broker. The company was known to have engaged Kundane and Science labour brokers.
Those brokers were converted into specialized contractors. People say to me, what's the difference between a contractor and a labor broker? For me, a contractor who's got specialized equipment, specialized skills, specialized training, who employs employees on a full-time basis, those employees are entitled to all the rights in terms of legislation.
The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Philip Teleze, informed Montego Investment Management that the employment bill will not affect contractors.
We'll make sure that we don't kill business, mainly on these contractors that we have in the different industries. But what is happening in the retail sector? None are employed by, maybe let me say a few, employed by these big supermarkets that we have. Only a few are directly employed by these telecommunications companies that we have. Thousands of them employed through this triangular form of employment, for which the employees do not have any rights, if I may put it that way, because they don't know where to complain. So that's what we're getting rid of. But contracting, it will be allowed.
Members of the Montego Investment Staff Association also meet with the minister and share their views.
Khona nihambela la tinkampani nihlole lokuthi vele are we being trained ngale mithetho liyala nkampani liyaka labor mhlambe yaseven
uma bekuthiwa kukhona lokuyinkinga lenkulu etisebenza kuba ngile mithetho yale live kakhulu kanye le mithetho yale tinkampani.
At the time of compiling the report, Minister Teleze was set to meet with Montego employees, specifically those who are cutting timber in the forest. Worth noting is that these members are not unionized under the Staff Association. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Bunya.
The Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, has commended the involvement of young people on developmental projects in their communities. Mabuza was speaking during the launch of 2 chiefdom development plans at Makele and Egwenzeni areas in the Shiselweni region.
The minister started at the Egwenzeni area where he first launched the Chiefdom Development Plan. The residents saw a need to get assistance in their projects that they were currently pursuing. The CDC chairperson Kobani Kumalo appreciates Eswatini for taking them through every step on issues of development.
Kule project bekukhona ukuthi sifuye timbuti ngoba nato timbuti nje besitithatha kancane itolo ukuthi besibuka nje imbuti itihambela lapha esigangeni singadi ukuthi kunemali lapha lefihliwe lapha etimbutini.
He says at first it was quite difficult, but along the way, through perseverance, they made it up to this far. Egwenzeni Chief Makoskos Kumalo says they will now be able to ask for funds and assistance with the document at hand.
So kuphasa ke kwaleli bhuku kusho ukuthi sesitawukhona kuphuma singena ngalo sinqonqotha ngalo ngedocument lekubonakala ukuthi seyisemthethweni nabo minister sebayiphasisile nabo konke sokusemthethweni. Ngicabanga ukuthi kumqoka kakhulu futhi nathi kutakusita kakhulu lokho entuthukweni.
The Minister of Agriculture, together with his delegation, then continued to Makele area where he also launched the Chiefdom Development Plan as well. The minister thanked the youth for involving themselves on issues of development. He applauded the residents for coming up with sustainable projects.
Lokungijabulisile lokunye kubona kule Chiefdom Development Plan ngokuthi iyouth ayikasaleli ngaphandle. Kune project lengivile ngayo yetinyosi lento angilabantu labasha baze bakhuluma ngokuthi ngathi sebazama kwenda i-processing facility, something like that.
The chief of Makele area, Prince Makele, thanked each and everyone for the commitment they showed and the involvement that led to this stage. The Chiefdom Development Plans have contents of development of the different areas and how they can be assisted to pursue their different projects. Reporting I am Kiani Msibi with Smo Vashongwe, Kumakele in the Shiselweni region.
The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, EIPA, has announced the return of the Eswatini International Trade Fair. The head of trade at EIPA, Bonganchangase, invites exhibitors to register for this year's trade fair.
It is coming back. It will be hosted at our exhibition center Mavuso from the 1st of September until the 10th of September for 10 days. We're at a stage where we're now accepting application forms. So I am inviting companies, SMEs, large companies, foreign companies to submit their application forms. The month of May, the deadline will be the 31st of May for the application forms. I'm also here to invite vendors, those who want to sell provide food services and entertainment services also to submit their expressions of interest and up until the 31st of September. Thereafter, we'll then make our final selections. The selection is normally based on a first-come, first-served basis. So whosoever comes first will be allocated space and confirmed in that manner.
The United Nations and the First National Bank have pumped over 1 million emalangeni to the MTN Bushfire. United Nations pumped 450,000 emalangeni on MTN Bushfire, Bring Your Fire Zone, while 200,000 emalangeni out of 600,000 pumped in by the First National Bank will sponsor the Art Roundtable.
The United Nations Eswatini Coordination Development Officer, Program Communications and Advocacy Officer, Spusiso Mgadi, says during the MTN Bushfire, Bring Your Fire Zone, 5 themes that will be discussed include gender and non-discrimination, climate change, right to a decent standard of living, right to health, as well as freedom of expression and right to participate.
Bese-ke siba nalama themes lasihlanu tempilo guquka kwesimo selitulu, climate change, the prosperity ndawo zentuthuko nje generally, phila kahle kwabantu, right to standard of living.
FNB Retail Marketing Manager Nqobile Dlangamandla says the bank is committed to promote and develop art in the country.
The MTN Bushfire Arts Roundtable is Eswatini's foremost arts industry development workshop, promoting skills sharing, digital media development, and best practices throughout the continent, offering opportunities for brands to achieve a wider reach. SIBS has made this all very clear to us, and as a bank, we have a long-standing commitment to play our part in developing the local arts and creative industry as well as small businesses.
The MTN Bushfire Festival will be held from May 26 to May 28, 2023. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Fuminkosi Nzinisa Malkens.
The 1 billion Rising campaign beneficiaries have passed gratitude to the campaign for its educational programs in their communities. Ladies from different communities were giving a report on how they have benefited from the campaign. This took place at Kodek, Eswatini on Wednesday.
Labo make nalabantu labasha labakwendako kuta kwabolana ukuthi sito lolonga lolwathi lebavele banalo.
The director of 1 Billion Rising campaign, Kolan Hlatshwago, says they empower both the young and the old in various ways, including farming, amongst other things. She says they continue with the community circles together with the Journey of Hope and MTN, and ladies have been empowered. Nonjaburo Makakula, one of the community circles beneficiaries, says they have learnt a lot and acquired different skills.
Siqale ngekuthi asisite sikhone kuba nebusiness.
She says they have been empowered financially and how they can be economically productive. Pinky Zigalala, a young person, says gender-based violence has been a problem for many. The campaign have taught them to be self-dependent.
Siyinsha yasevuvlane nje sitawuhlangana ngekusitwa 1 Billion Rising na Journey of Hope kuthi sende ibhizinisi lengikholelwa ukuthi kutasita kakhulu emangweni ngoba sibhekene nayo ingcinamba ukuthi imisebenzi ayitholakali kuleti nsuku tanamuhla.
The campaign has yielded positive results and many have benefited from it. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Smuva Shongwe, Ezulwini.
Let's take a look at the financial indicators. And now into your sports roundup, we begin with news from Parliament, where the Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, has assured the House of Assembly that the ministry is proceeding with the process of drafting the sports bill. Minister Bulunga was responding to a motion raised by Madlangembisi Member of Parliament, Sibusiso Nxumalo, who was asking how far the ministry has gone in drafting the bill.
In our sports roundup, we begin with Parliament, where during the House of Assembly session, Madlangembisi Member of Parliament Sibusiso Nxumalo raised a motion requesting to hear from the ministry on how far the Ministry of Sports have gone about the issue of National Sports Bill. Nxumalo was seconded by Lobamba Lomdzala MP Marie Khumalo.
Speaker, to move that the Honourable Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs pilot a sports bill that will establish a national sport fund through a levy in order to ensure professional sustainability towards sporting courts in the country and support of competency-based education policy adopted by government.
So ke mconzo Tingulumbu kungaba kuhle ukuthi sibonakale kube ne-level etside le hulumende la yakhako lota ukhanza ukuthi itawugcine ine fund lokuyifund Mr Speaker le fund lena letawenda ukuthi wonke umntwana akubone kufanele noma akubone kumkhanga abe attracted kokuthi hamba ungenela temidlalo.
The Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, assured the House that the bill has been drafted so far, but further consultation need to be done.
Indlu ngayinika isiqiniseko sokuthi umthetho sawudrafta ukhona. So kuloku upilota kwethu kusho ukuthi nje ube subhajwe endleleni. But the drafting process has been done. Ngicabanga ukuthi lese ngilakuthatha endlini ngisayemukela ngokuthi maybe sesiyohlala phansi nemhlonishwa finance as bomove abashido sibokusanele ukuthi mhlambe nase kugcina wafinyelela eParliament lomthetho waphasa itawuchamuka phi le mali yekusupporta lama sports.
The ministry was given 21 days to return to the House with a response. And in football, the title decider of the 2022-2023 season will see Green Mamba taking on Royal Leopard. Both coaches have called it a tough game ahead, especially for Green Mamba coach Ernest Mavuso, who said that a draw will indeed assure them that they are the winners of this year's league.
Part of what we do, we have to try to balance the element of fear of losing and the excitement of being champions. That element is very critical. We are trying to balance that. Econ, we are working around normalizing the situation to approach the game as one important game, but singabi nako enhloko lokuthi what's the end product.
Yeah, it's playing go project eligama le team. Logo ku keep the pressure ngisho nje kulabadlali. So there's no reason ukuthi bafike le ground and ba panic basileke ukudlala because they are playing for my rights and my proper rights.
Moving on in our international news, Europa League action semi-finals begin this evening when AS Roma from Italy take on Bayern Leverkusen from Germany. In another game, Juventus, also from Italy, will take on Sevilla from Spain. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
All right, that's how we reach the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we leave you, here is a reminder of tonight's headlines. The Prime Minister has implored African and Arab countries to strike a balance between environmental integrity and the level of development. The Deputy Prime Minister has encouraged the Eswatini to register to vote and have a say in the governance of the country. And the Minister of Labour and Social Security says the employment bill will not affect companies that are engaged as contractors, but it seeks to deal with labor brokers, among other issues. Well, that's all the news we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the weather update from all of us here as the Eswatini TV News team. It's good night.